Sometimes I come across music that is so good I just have to tell everybody about it. And in this case I have been listening to the band for over 10 years, but I'm going through another phase of listening to them obsessively, so it feels like the right time to put something out there. And the band has only made 3 albums, but I'm going to rank them and then play a montage of their 5 best songs. And what's really difficult here is that I've been saying for almost 20 years that the most perfect album ever made, and I'll explain what I mean by that later, is the Inalienable Dreamless by Discordance Axis. But I'm now in a position where I may have to claim that not only has another band potentially equalled it, but they may even have equalled it twice, or even 3 times, some people might argue. But in my defence, the only artist who could have achieved this was actually one of the members of Discordance Axis, and that is of course John Chang. So that's the kind of level we're working at here with Gridlink. I haven't said it yet, but Gridlink is the band. And you might have detected that I do get quite passionate and overexcited when I'm talking about these bands. So let's get straight to the albums. Or actually, just before I do that, I'll quickly explain what these albums are. And that is primarily Warp Speed Grind. The 3 albums are Amber Grey, Orphan and Longhena. The first 2 albums are both around 12 minutes and have 11 and 12 songs respectively. The final album, Longhena, is a Tolstoyan attention-spanning epic at 21 minutes and 14 songs. And I should say that I do own all of these albums on CD. I got them all pretty much on the days they were released, and I'm very happy to have them because I think it's quite difficult to get them now, especially brand new. So these are jewels in my collection, along of course with the Inalienable Dreamless in the DVD style case and with its counterintuitively oceanically calm artwork. And I guess I'll start by saying that all 3 albums are different, but Longhena is drastically different to the first 2. You can see it's different as soon as you see the artwork. And even though it's still very fast grind, it has a completely different feel. There's melody from the first song, and a few tracks in there's even a calm instrumental piece called Thirst Watcher, which there definitely isn't on Orphan or Amber Grey, which are effectively 12-minute adrenaline rushes of the most exhilarating kind. But this album, Longhena, is different. It's atmospheric, and it's noticeably emotional and deeper by comparison. So it's definitely possible that people could prefer this one because of its scope and ambition. That's how it feels. It feels like an expansion or an evolution of sorts. But for me, I'm putting it in 3rd place for a few reasons, and this is just because I'm doing this analysis. That's the only reason I do this, just for educational purposes. But it always struck me as having a slightly weaker production, or maybe a less full sound, and overall the songs don't grab me as strongly or as urgently as other albums do. There are some massive highlights though, which are the opener Constant Autumn, Island Sun, which is one of the longer songs in the catalogue, and then the final track Look to Windward, which is the longest in the catalogue, and is also an awesome way to finish a final album. Well, it might not be their final album, but it still feels like a full stop, even though personal circumstances now suggest another album could be possible. Although I'm quite happy if they leave it as is. And Longhena is actually a beautiful album, and I wouldn't say that about the first 2. That's not the right word at all. So it really is a wonderful piece of work and a lot more measured than its predecessors. But I am putting it in 3rd place, but don't let that trick you into thinking it's anything less than an absolute pleasure to listen to. And now I'm going to attempt to separate Amber Grey and Orphan, and actually I don't have any doubt which way round it goes. Amber Grey is the number 1, but I remember when I got Orphan I'd listened to Amber Grey about 10,000 times, and I was really looking forward to Orphan, but I was resigned to the idea that it wasn't going to be as good as Amber Grey, because Amber Grey is just from another planet. But then al-Harb kicks in, and it takes maybe 10 seconds for you to realise that this is most likely another special album from John Chang. And al-Harb is actually the track I've used as an appetiser for other people because it is so high impact, and representative of the band really. And actually this is the best sounding Gridlink record. It has a clarity and power that wasn't quite present in Amber Grey, and I think this helps to illuminate the key difference between the 2 records, which is that Orphan has instantly distinctive songs, whereas Amber Grey feels like the continuing flawless expression of a single idea, so it feels more like one movement than a collection of songs. But just to enhance that distinction between songs, Orphan even dips into different genres. For example, one track, Embers, Treasure and Blood, is flat out black metal. In fact, it's not just black metal. It's a fantastic piece of epic black metal formed of 3 acts. I mean, it's just over a minute long, but it is a genuine epic in this context. And there's also an excellent track called Scope Dog that has vocals I've never heard from John Chang before, that also sound like they belong on a black metal album. So that's one genre Gridlink nail on Orphan, whether or not that was their intention. Then Flatworld near the end of the album opens with a dash of brutal death metal, with a genuinely violent vocal performance, so the album is fully cohesive, but effortlessly hits these other genres before slipping back into pure grind. And I also want to mention Thorn Farmer, which I actually put on the compilation disc I made for myself years ago. It just seemed like the right song for a compilation, and it's actually one of the more straightforward tracks, because it comes in off the back of a humorously 7-second track with a relatively simple but entirely killer riff that hits you at 1,000 miles an hour and then drives in a straight line and essentially batters you for a minute to the end of the track and sounds completely awesome, and it works as another great representative of the band. So you've got variety across the album, underpinned by moments like these that are a more straightforward pummeling. The whole album is obscenely good, and the only way I could mark it down at all is that between Embers, Blood and Treasure and Flatworlder, there are 2 tracks that are comparatively normal. If they had been broken up, it might not have been so obvious, but when I Accept Your Last Wish kicks in, I'm already looking forward to Flatworlder, but then a track called Hearts is next, and that's the only relatively weak track on the album, if I'm being hypercritical. So that's pretty much my experience of Orphan, which I'm going to go ahead and call an 11 out of 10. And Amber Grey is about a 12 out of 10, and I've already suggested it's perfect, and what I mean by that is that for what the band have produced here, the type of album it is, I honestly don't know how it could have been done any better. It flows absolutely perfectly, and without breaking it down into component parts, I do want to mention 2 particular moments that for me elevate it to another grade, and the first one is the moment when 3 miles below sea level kicks in after the first track Amber Grey, and the second moment, which is an even bigger adrenaline rush, is the final track Severance package exploding into life after burning Tiamat. And the point is that these are jaw-dropping moments, but they don't work if you play the songs out of context. They're designed to hit you like a train, and the start of 3 miles below is the moment you realise the intensity is going to be utterly relentless. But when it happens again on Severance package, you've also got the implications of the previous 11 minutes, whereas when 3 miles below kicks in, we're only 1 track deep at that point, so the impact isn't quite as great, even though it's a truly mind-blowing moment. And just to be clear, you don't get that impact every time a new song kicks in. I mean, there is always an impact, but at these 2 particular points it reaches another level. So these 2 points alone are worth playing the album for, amongst all the other greatness. And 12 minutes for a full length might seem ridiculous, but to me it is undoubtedly a full album. There is so much music and so much energy in these 12 minutes that you get more satisfaction than you might get from an album 10 times as long. A good album 10 times as long, by the way. I thought the Inalienable Dreamless was short for a full length when I got it, but then I get Amber Grey, which is barely half of that and is unquestionably a complete piece of work, and not just a piece of work, but a piece of outstanding extreme art that easily lands as one of my favourite albums of all time. So that's it. That's my countdown and experience of the Gridlink albums. It seems entirely contradictory to now play clips of the top 5 songs, considering I've just said you can't take them out of context, but I'm going to do it anyway, just for fun, so I hope you like it. If you haven't heard Gridlink before, I hope you go away and give them a try. If one person's life is improved by this video, it will be worth it. So I'll end it there. Enjoy Gridlink, enjoy all of their albums, and Naked Pieces Scattered, the last track on the last Discordance Axis release. That's how Gridlink was introduced to us. So that's almost all for now, but I will be back soon with more videos.